You ask your government to do this or that. It looks over its shoulder at Wall Street, New York. How can you expect anything else? Every one of us are occupied countries. Every one of us feels that. Some European countries more acutely than we do. We can't even defend ourselves. Why? Because what matters? What they do in Wall Street, New York, or any other center where they set themselves up, their power comes from the present international financial system. And any government can be knocked on the head as they have been in Britain, as they were before the war in other countries again and again. Finance rules and nothing rules but finance. But when the little countries of Europe are fighting each other on world markets, brother against brother in a cutthroat competition, the whole thing is just a wild dogfight in which one country or another must always succumb. Well, we announced that policy of Europe and nations, an absolutely clear-cut policy, saying you never could organize our affairs until you cease to have this internecine struggle between the divided European peoples and made one great community instead of the small warring communities of today. Those policies were rejected, completely rejected. These people who never believed in Europe once again returned where they began, to a rejection of the whole great concept. With what results? With the results you can see in your everyday life, and will see still more in the events which are coming. The only possible way to meet the practical problems confronting us today is to face the fact that we must have European government. I don't mean one country dominating another. I never meant that, and I've always made it clear. I mean that we should sit at a table, a round table as equals, an European team contributed from each of the countries, and let our ideas and our character prevail when they're entitled, because they're good ideas or good character to prevail. But let us go there as equals, sitting at that round table, and I've no fear whatever that Britain can play its part and preserve its great identity, its character, and its history. My friends, that is the first step. And then after that, it's not only to make ourselves independent, we can make an enormous contribution to the peace of the world and to disarmament and all the things which every sane man desires. And this movement stands alone against all parties for that policy. And that policy in the end, my friends, will come. If you wonder how and when and where, it will come. It will come in one way and one way alone. Not through existing governments, not by the maneuvers of the parliaments and the lobbies and the congresses. It will come under the stress of necessity. In the economic crisis which will be inevitable, it will come in a great wave of popular feeling, in a great awakening of the European soul, in a sudden demand to end the nonsense, come together, and at last to do great things in a great way. We can organize in freedom our standard of life, not the controls of socialism or communism, but rather the economic leadership of the government, intervening where it matters to push up wages and the standard of life, to control prices where monopoly exploits. In fact, a government leading within an area containing every raw material, every foodstuff which man can require, and at last free from the fight for world markets and free forever from the domination of world finance. This European people with the greatest fighting tradition in the world. All the glories of our armies, navies, and air forces, which have fought each other in demonstrations of heroism without example in the history of the world. And we are told that this European people of 300 million, has to shudder in fear. Why? Only one possible answer: you're divided. You've got little separate governments in little separate countries. Bring them together and there's no power in the world which you need fear. Except continual risk of war, and make the great force of Europe. Bring it between the excitable contestants of today. For all our traditions of calm, of sanity, of political wisdom, with our enormous, giant strength, just think of Europe, the Dominions, a third of Africa, possibly South America combined, in its total strength and power, coming between the contestants of today, calming the whole situation. My friends, we can hold the balance of the globe and win the peace of mankind. Of course we can. Why be afraid to do it? The way to free yourselves is only one way. To make your own government in your own country big enough to support a government with a great policy. And that country is Europe.